Hey everybody, it's Golmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another Arena Cube draft. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. I love me some Pack 1 Pick 1 fetch lands, because they're going to fit into basically anything. You just find some fetchable lands like Shock lands and Triomes, and even though this looks like a green-white land, this could find any color of mana, so huge fan of the fetch lands in the cube. Might just take it here, pack one, pick one, but I like these white spells quite a bit too. The Sarah Paragon works pretty great in anything. A little bit better in a deck with a lot of cheap, low mana value cards, but it works great with fetch lands too. There's Giver of Runes as well, which can protect any of your other threats. With its tap abilities, that's a pretty annoying card to try to break through. Some really good white spells, and then the fetch land are my favorite cards here. I'm going to stay open and grab the fetch. We did just play a white deck last time with some Boros aggro. For pick number 2, no great lands here, so we'll take something else. I have really liked the flexibility of Trumpeting Carnosaur. Like 3 mana, 3 to a creature Planeswalker is not the greatest card ever, but it is an ability instead of a spell, so it's really hard to counter that. And that's just like the backup plan when you don't have the mana to just slam this down as a solid finisher. So I do like Carnosaur a lot. Also like Rankle, Vorinclex, really everything in the cube pretty much, but I've enjoyed Carnosaur. I'm gonna roll with that. Pack 1, pick 3. I've done 2 Nicol Bolas decks already. I don't know if I want to hop onto a third one this quickly. If I weren't recording, I would just play another Bolas deck because I love Nicol Bolas, but we are recording. We're trying to do a variety of decks for you all, and we've done 2 Bolas decks and a ramp deck, 1 aggro deck right now. Probably don't want to see a third Bolas deck. It wouldn't be 3 Bolas decks in a row. There'd be 1 aggro deck in the middle, so at least I could say that. But you know, I mean, nothing else in this pack is really speaking to me. I guess Tireless Tracker is pretty good with our Windswept Teeth, so that's kind of fun.
I have returned.
Alright, pack 1, pick 4 now. All the lands are getting scooped up, so it could be difficult to get to Grixis mana, but Carnosaur Bolas is a great start to Grixis control stuff. The Carnosaur being cheap interaction or a finisher, the Bolas just being an incredible finisher. Now we can take Golagon's command for more excellent cheap interaction. Primeval Titan's also super sweet. That's obviously for a pretty different deck. Like the 5-color Field of the Dead stuff, that thing's an absolute banger. Avison's great top end for any aggressive deck. Deluge is really solid instant speed card draw. That might be better than Golagon's command. Still think I'm going to take Golagon's command. I really enjoy these super flexible commands. Alright, Blood Crypt is fetchable, not off of Windswept, but generally fetchable, and you can play it untapped, which is a pretty big deal, even if it isn't fetchable, if you don't have the fetch lands for it. I like that better than Smashing or Phoenix here. It is competition for the Iron Crag, because ramping into 6 drops and 7 drops is definitely a thing. These are very expensive cards, but hopefully we can just play all interaction and not need the ramp. We just prolong the game long enough to cast those naturally. Pick 6. I like Supreme Will quite a bit here. Look, it's got Nicol Bolas' little staff there in the artwork. How can you possibly resist the flavor win there? Could also go Settle if I'm trying to be 4-color control, but that's going to be hard to do. Virtue, I don't think is very good. Unless you're pretty aggressive and you have burn spells that you want to shoot your opponent's face with, a control deck's not really going to have non-combat damage you want to shoot your opponent's face with. Aggro decks will, though, so aggro decks can use that card well. Ooh, Unholy Heat is real good. 1 mana for 2 to a creature Planeswalker at instant speed is fine, but if you get to Delirium, 1 mana for 6 damage is insane. Take Unholy Heat over Restless Spire, since that always comes into play tapped and it's not fetchable. Here's a fetchable Savai Triumph. We can grab that with our Windswept Teeth, which means we have 3 different black-red sources now. We have Blood Crypt, we have Triumph, and we have Windswept Teeth to grab the Triumph. Feels valuable. Cruelty of Gix would be a solid control option, but these kind of 5 mana, like higher mana pieces of interaction are a little worse and a little more replaceable. So I'm going to get the Triome here. Pick 9. Now we could take the 5 mana, mid-range massive beat stick thing. I could also take a disallow. Double blue is going to be a little hard if our mana base doesn't improve a decent bit throughout this draft. Kind of like just getting more interaction, though. I'll grab disallow. Pick 10, a Magda could be a thing. Nahiri's Warcrafting could be a thing. I don't love exile a card for 1 turn kind of stuff in controlling decks that have really high mana value cards, because you could miss on this pretty badly. And I don't love aggressive creatures in control decks, but like I can still just play Magda, Trump Attack, and get a treasure for later, which is something. I don't know. Maybe wrong, but I'm gonna grab Magda. Goblin Bomb, that I shall not be playing. Collective Brutality, I'd rather not play. It's a little inefficient. And we get the Iron Crag back. Well, that's great, because I am going to play that to get to Carnosaur and Bolas then. Like, I'm not going to take it super highly, because we can just try to interact and stay alive till late game, but I'm not going to say it's not helpful to be able to ramp up also into the super expensive cards. Last pick, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Maybe we can be some aggressive deck here. Alright, Volcanic Spite, excellent interaction. Lightning Strike, great interaction. Watery Grave, excellent fixing. And Crucius is a super rude card. Gives you the treasure to get to your high mana value cards, and it lets you ditch a card to grab a more expensive card every turn, so you can get just really big spells at the top of your curve. Crucius is insane. These alchemy cards are just busted. I think I have to take Crucius here and hope to wheel Watery Grave, which doesn't feel that likely. But Crucius also sort of helps the mana base, thanks to spitting out the treasure every time you do the ability to discard and draw a card. So I'm going to take Crucius here. If we don't wheel the Watery Grave, maybe we'll get the Triome, which is fetchable off of Windswept Heath. Actually, the Triome might be better than the Watery Grave because we have Windswept Heath. Probably is. It turns Windswept Heath into either black-red or blue-black. But I think Crucius is better than the land still, because the card's insane. Alright, no lands out of this pack, which is sad. Got a Nightclub Bouncer to really slow our opponent down. We've got a Drown and Ichor for cheap removal, or we've got a Magma Opus for another finisher sort of spell. Can also ditch it for a treasure early if we need to. Decadent Dragon's a solid mid-range value play. Especially because we're probably going to have a few Triomes in this deck, so we will be able to cast cards of whatever color our opponent's playing. Frost Titan's a fine finisher. I don't love anything in this pack a ton. It's all fine. I'm just going to go with Magma Opus again. Alright, bad lands. Solid cheap interaction with Electrolyze or Brazen Borrower. A little bit more expensive interaction with Mishra's Command and Fight with Fire. I think we take the cheaper stuff here, Borrower or Electrolyze. Grab the Borrower here, get the 2 mana bounce spell, I think. Although Electrolyze does fully kill the small creatures with its 2 damage. No, I'll take Brazen Borrower still. Stomping Ground. We don't need green mana at all, though, so probably just Shark Typhoon. Just cycle this, draw a card, get an enchantment engraved towards Delirium, and get that shark to trade off. Actually, Murderous Cut might be better than Shark Typhoon, because it's pretty easy to fuel Delve with a bunch of cheap instants and sorceries. Fetch lands as well. This is really, really cheap to just fully destroy a creature. I like both of these a ton. I think these are definitely the best cards for our deck. I'm gonna go for the Murderous Cut here. It's super efficient. Pick 5. Surgical Metamorph is not a card I'm a huge fan of, because it's kind of a win more card, right? Like, it's gonna copy your best permanent, yes, but if you're using it to copy a Primeval Titan or something, like you're just copying something that you were already winning the game with, and the times where you don't have a good permanent, it's just garbage. I guess you can copy your opponent's permanents. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's that or a sensor, really. I still honestly think I'd just rather have sensor. Hard evidence, maybe even, is fine. Alright, exclude. Here's another 2-for-1 counterspell. Counter their creature and draw a card. When you do, pick 7. Mephit's Enthusiasm for removal is all we've got. Pick 8. These lands don't work for us, so we take the Brotherhood's End board wipe. And we cross our fingers that one of those blue-black duels comes back here for pick 9. Come on. Alright, the Triome didn't, but the Watery Grave did, so we'll take the Watery Grave over Extinction Event, which is actually an option. It's not a removal spell, but... or another board wipe, but we need more fixing. We'll grab the Watery Grave. Happy to see that. Try the Decadent Dragon out. Her Disdainful Stroke's actually probably pretty good in Cube. There are so many just absolute bangers at 4 mana plus. I didn't even notice that the first time around, but I might take it over Bouncer or Decadent Dragon, because these are also more difficult mana costs. Double red, double blue. This is just a single blue. I'll try Disdainful Stroke. Seems like it should work pretty well. Pick 11, Mole Drifter. 3 mana draw 2 or a solid creature at the top of the curve. I think I'd rather play that than grab an alchemy card I haven't played with yet. Alchemy cards have to be like very, very, very good for me to want to take them. I would rather just not play with alchemy, but sometimes the alchemy cards are just nuts, like Crucius. And then it's like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'd love to see a Pioneer Cube on Arena. Or a Legacy Cube or a Vintage Cube or something, but obviously we don't have all the cards for Legacy or Vintage.
You know what's better than having a plan?
You know what? Sphinx's Rev might have been splashable, actually. Probably should have taken that. It was the most likely to make the cut. Okay. Act 3, pick 1. Lutry's free and on color. Probably supposed to take Lutry, but I'm very tempted to take Tybalt's. Another Bolas style, just absolute game ender. Good cheap interaction with Play with Fire. Great cheap card draw with Iteration. Another great finisher with Breach the Multiverse. Breach the Multiverse and Tybalt are both huge finishers. Breach might actually be a little better. Probably supposed to take Lutry because it'll improve our deck every single game. But I'm going to take Breach the Multiverse. I've been passing this card a lot. Let's actually use that as a finisher one of these times, and that time will be this time. I don't think I can really take anything over the Grixis Triome when we're the Grixis deck. But I do kind of want to take Flames of the Firebrand over it. I'm not going to, though. We'll grab the actual perfect mana fixing for the deck there. Pack 3, pick 3, cut to Ribbons is fantastic. It's cheap removal, and it is a mana sink win condition with Ribbons. Count Dracula and Blood Tithe Harvester would also both be solid, but I like cut to Ribbons a lot. Pick 4, Spirebluff Canal or Cyclonic Rift. Phyrexian Metamorph, Electrostatic Blast. If you can make it to 7 mana, Cyclonic Rift during your opponent's end step can win some games. And it's always 2 mana interaction when you need it. I've seen Numot playing Cyclonic Rift a lot, so I'm kind of interested in trying it out myself. I don't know if we can justify it over Spirebluff. I'm going to try it. Pick 5, here's a blue-red duel that we can fetch off of our green-white fetch land. And it's competing with Jaya, one of the most mediocre planeswalkers in the cube, Massacre Worm, which is incredibly difficult for us to cast, and some cards that aren't really control spells, like Aristocrat and Shamil. Yeah, I'm taking the Triome. Pick 6, Drowned Catacomb, fantastic fixing. There's also Eruption for interaction, Guardian Idol for ramp. neutralize for a counter. This Liliana is not great without a really high creature count. You really want to be a deck that can use the -2 really well, and we can't. So it's neutralize, Drowned Catacomb, or Guardian Idol. Got 24 non-lands. I'm just going to take lands basically from here on out whenever I can. Now a sleight of hand is fine. I could take Golos, and if pick 8 has Field the Dead, then like, we did it. But if not, then we're just not going to play Golos, because it's going to be really hard to do the Wooburg, even off a few Triomes. Wooburg being 1 mana of every color. Alright, pick 8, we do not see the thing, but we do see a cut down for super efficient removal, so cut down is a pick for sure. Life of Disharum is always also pretty flexible. Can clear out 1 toughness cards, gain a chunk of life if you need to, and Spell Pierce is also pretty good, but I think cut down's probably the best of the 3. Pick 9, we got Expressive Iteration and Tybalt back. I've got Breach the Multiverse, I've got Nico Bolas, I've got Magma Opus, I've got Carnosaur. I think that's enough win conditions, generally speaking. So I'm going to grab Expressive Iteration for some card draw, which I don't have a lot of. Here's Thief for card draw. It is card draw from our opponent's deck, and we're on a low enough creature count that it's really easy for them to just kill that, because they don't really need to hold removal for anything else. So, Thief of Sanity is probably one of the first cards we'll end up cutting, but we took it over basically nothing. Hedron Archive might not be horrible with 6, 7, and 8 mana cards, but I still think I'd prefer Electrostatic Blast. We get the Guardian Idol to come all the way back around too? Sweet. Must be a lot of aggro in this draft pod. Not a lot of control, not a lot of ramp. Not a lot of decks that want the mana rocks. Okay, nothing in the side is coming in, so we just cut 7 cards here. Maybe 8 cards, so we can run 18 lands with this deck, but we've got double mana rock, and they're both 2 mana, which is pretty easy to hit, so 17 lands is probably fine with the double mana rock. Thief of Sanity, Channeler, Magda, basically all the mediocre creatures we might cut. We'll play around with Muldrifter this time around, because I don't pick it very highly, and I know a lot of people love Muldrifter, so we'll give it some time to shine with this deck. I've got so much interaction, we can cut the mediocre ones like Brutality here. Mephit's Enthusiasm as well, I think. Got a good chunk of counterspells even without Disallow, and this is the hardest one to cast. We still have Censor, Disdainful Stroke, Exclude, and Supreme Will. Kind of want to drop that. And Virtue of Courage is the worst removal spell we have in the deck because the second half doesn't do anything in this deck. So it's just 2 mana for do 2 damage at instant speed. Very overcosted. Alright, well that's 7 cards. We could cut all these and then try to find 1 more card to cut for a land, but we've got, again, 17 lands, 2 mana rocks, and Sleight of Hand as a cantrip also can pull out a land when we need it. Put the non-land on bottom. I don't think we need 18. We can do this, 17 lands, and call it a deck. One quick check of the mana base before we fully wrap things up, though. 11 blue, 10 red, and 7 black is the counts that we have for our spells. So this is all 3 colors, this is all 3 colors. Okay, so these, we'll just add 2 to whatever we count up. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7. So 9 blue sources. And that is the most represented color. Second up is red, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red sources as well. And for black, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So a 9-9-8 split. Looks about right to me, honestly. 9-9-8 here. Yeah, we'll do it. I think the auto-suggester was perfectly fine here. 9-9-8 it is. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list for today, which is our 3rd beautiful Nico Bolas pile. It's a bunch of burn spells, counter spells, cheap interaction in general to stay alive for the long game. All we're trying to do really is prolong the game long enough to be able to resolve an absolutely game-ending threat, like a Nicol Bolas, or maybe a Breach the Multiverse to mill into the Bolas and reanimate it, stuff like that. So really, I mean, we've seen this deck a couple times before. It's a deck I'll probably end up drafting at least one more time before the cube ends. And yeah, it is just way too hard for me to resist Nicol Bolas's alluring charm. So call it a deck here and head into the gameplay. Alright, got all three colors on the play here. Yeah, keep that. Drop the blue-red source, and then we've got a couple black sources at the ready. Okay. Playing against a green deck. Follow up with a Triumph turn 2. Could be some rampy stuff here. Let's evoke this Mole Drifter, see what we find. Mountain Brotherhood's End, so if they do get aggressive, we've got the board wipe. Don't feel like it's super likely. They're green, white, black right now. Yeah, it looks like 5-color ramp, probably. There's Drowned Catacomb. Guess it could be green, black, blue would be the 3 colors overlapping here. Can cut the Morbid Opportunist and still hold up a Disdainful Stroke for their 4-drop. So let's do that. That can get Disdainful Stroked before they play any lands off of it. It's a Brazen Borrower for their next threat. Sleight of hand for a land here. These are not lands, that's the problem. I take the Crucius to cast it right now, get a treasure. Yeah. Get a treasure we can use on Petty Theft if we need to, or we use it to the other stuff. Let's get a greater mana value. Well, no, if I choose lesser, I could hit a land, right? Yeah, just a card period with greater or lesser, so choose lesser. We do hit a land. That is good. Wish it was another blue source, though. But I guess it doesn't matter too much, because the only thing that needs another blue is the Brazen Borrower. Alright, well that's fine. I'll just put a better land on board. Just take the Moron color Triome against the Boseiju. R.I.P. Crucius. You did your job though, because now I've got Magma Opus mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I don't. I need 8 mana for that. But I can hard cast Carnosaur here while they're tapped out. Cyclonic Rift just goes to hand because it has no legal targets. Sad discovery for Carnosaur, but I guess there's going to be a lot of that with our counterspells in this deck. Murderous Cut the Carnosaur, that's fine. There's the land for Magma Opus. Gaunty, Lord of Luxury. That's annoying. I can't do anything about it though. They just get to cast one of our spells. Out of the top 4, if it's Nicol Bolas, I'm gonna blow a gasket. I think we lose to Nicol Bolas pretty bad if they cast it against us. Okay, I definitely can't bounce this Gaunty, but now I have a better target for the damage with Magma Opus, so I'll just do that. And I'll play around them randomly having hit a counter spell, and I'm just going to cast this during our turn. Like, this could be like Supreme Will or something, and if I wait till their upkeep to tap lands, they just respond by Supreme Willing our Opus, and I'm in a very, very bad... I'm having a very bad time there. Okay, so this is damage, so 3 to that, 1 of them. This is permanents to tap, so tap the land. This is 3 damage there. Auto pay. The Endotha Triumph cannot produce blue, so the only counterspell they could possibly have is Mana Tithe. That would actually be insane. They do not have the Mana Tithe. Okay. They didn't hit Nicol Bolas. Makes me even more suspicious they hit a counterspell here, potentially. I mean, what choice do I really have? Otherwise, we're just playing Iteration, beating down with a 4-4. Yeah, 4-4 is enough to kill them, whatever. Go for it, I guess. Command to hand. Land to exile. Oops, I did that wrong. I misremembered the order. Whatever, I guess we'll play an Iron Crag instead of a land. That's basically the same thing. They're at 12. I can't play Brazen Borrow, I don't have double blue. Can shoot them for 2 and make them discard a card because it's funny. I guess that is a 1-for-1. Oh, I could return a creature from my grave. Hold up. Return a creature from grave and make them discard a card. Go for the Carnosaur again. We're just trying to get them to potentially tap out of a counterspell here so we can resolve Bolas when we untap. They only have the 1 blue source. I don't think their deck is likely to have counters. It's just that maybe they got one that they can cast with mana of any color off Gonti. I generally don't know for sure what's going on. They could just be green-black, really. But they have blue. They wouldn't play Drowned Catacomb without blue. Okay. Show me the counter. They don't have a counter. I'm fighting ghosts over here. I'm playing against nothing. We could have had so much fun with Bolas here. Oh! No, we couldn't. Because they're going to destroy my Carnosaur, and they could have destroyed my Bolas. That's what I was playing around the whole time. I just didn't know it yet. Ugin. Eugene? Get out of here, Eugene.
Be mindful.
Yep. Goodbye, 4-4. Time for the mortal enemies. Eugene versus Bolas. Well, see what's in their hand.
You came here with a
Crux of Fate. It doesn't really do anything against our deck. I could have just killed them with ribbons, couldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we missed lethal. Should have just ribbons. Alright, well, let's do it this turn, I guess. Whee! Alright. Was it really wrong to miss lethal there? Yes. But I wouldn't have played Bolas if I went for lethal. You gotta play Bolas. We're 1-0 now, heading into game 2. A pretty good hand. This can be our blue, black, green mana. So I won't have a red source yet. So that's mildly awkward. Other than that, this looks pretty good. I guess I can get a red source if I want. I think black still seems more important. Oh, it's red, black, white is what it can be. Oh, well, that's perfect. Never mind. Forgot what triumphs I had. That's even better than I thought it was going to be. Now I do have blue, black, or red. Got it all. I don't want to iteration until turn 3. When I can play a land off the iteration. Llanowar Visionary. Cut. That's a little awkward. Find the Brotherhood's End. Put one into hand. Crucius? Sure. Library, Blast, Exile, Sleight of Hand. That's the play this turn. Looking for mana. I don't hate Murderous Cut, but I'm trying to get 7 for Breach here, so I'm going to take the land. Forceful Cultivator, well that dies to Brotherhood's End. So it dies within the board wipe. Cyclonic Rift. I can Crucius, ditch the Rift, and still have mana up for Petty Theft. You know what? Cyclonic Rift is probably just better than Brazen Borrower. Okay, find the land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th mana. Next turn. Steel Seraph. Sure, small enough to die the Brotherhood's End since they don't play the 5/4 version. Probably are just gonna Brotherhood's End then, next turn, and then Breach the turn after that. I do like having the option of using Crucius again, but it does feel pretty unlikely I'm doing anything but board wiping next turn, in which case we just take the trade here to stop damage. I don't know. I'm gonna take this. They've got a blue source up here. They've got 2 blue sources up here to maybe stop Brotherhood's End. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7th mana off of the treasure or off of playing a land next turn. I still think Crucius is good enough that I'm actually going to get greedy here and just take another hit. Unless they kill Crucius with removal, then I'll board wipe. If it trades to Seraph, though, that's fine. Okay. Are they killing Crucius before the trigger? I guess I don't get to see because this is a sorcery, so if I click end turn, they get to kill Crucius, it goes to the end step. I don't get the trigger and I didn't board wipe. That would be a bummer. I do get the trigger. It's a thing. Oh, Tidebinder? Exclude that. Ditch a land. Find a higher mana value card. Oh wow, that was a good hit. Find Unholy Heat. That's 1 mana for 6 damage. It's massive. Take the hit here and we can Unholy Heat anything in their end step. Even if they like tap out for something massive, we can probably Unholy Heat it. We could go Cyclonic Rift into Breach. Another option. Got a lot of blue mana to try to do that, though. I don't know how much I like that. The Overloaded Rift. Voracious Hydra. Make it big enough to fight Crucius. Also big enough to survive Brotherhood's End, so I guess I might as well heat that. They have 2 mana up. It has to be a 2 mana counterspell to stop this breach. Screw it. Big money, no whammies. No counter from our opponent, please. Hey. Nicobolas. And Archpriest of Shadows. Oh my god. Archpriest back up on a Crucius, so when it hits them, I reanimate something.
Can protect you now.
Now I reanimate Brazen Borrower to block their flyer. Or just Trumpeting Carnosaur and get the Discover. Discover cut to kill the flyer. Nicobolas exiles their whole hand.
I'll be taking that.
So we're the villains. Inverters, Gear Hulk. Buff the board up a good chunk. But I don't think there's anything they can do after that turn. That was so stupid. Just rift the Gear Hulk. Attack all. Rift the Gear Hulk, kill the Cultivator. 8 plus 7. 8 plus 7 still not quite lethal, but with the ribbons we can get there, I think. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. Just hit with all this and then ribbons it up. That was disgusting. That was... We were a kid in a candy store there that turn. That was not fair and not balanced Magic, but we will be 2-0 heading into game 3. Alright, here we are on the play for this next game of Magic. There is no black source for the cut down. That's the only real issue I see with the hand. It's cheap interaction, it's some card draw to set up. And now it's also a black source for cut down. Yeah, I'd rather hold up cut down and Unholy Heat than Cyclonic Rift this early. Since if they cast an aggressive 2-drop, I'd rather just kill it than anything else. Unholy Heat can kill something bigger than cut down can later, so we'll use the cut down first. They don't have the mana for anything I can stroke next turn, so I'll just draw some cards off Muldrifter, and that fills the Delirium for Unholy Heat as well. Ooh, also fills Delve, or fuels Delve, for the Murderous Cut. Alright. I should have played a blue source so I could cast both of these if I needed to. Alright, some setup from our opponent with Prismari Command. Jeskai spells, another pretty controlling deck. Gonna be a very similar deck to ours overall, I think. And there's the Polluted Delta for some excellent mana fixing. And they're just gonna pass turn. Alright. Yeah, just have my second blue source up here now. We're hanging out. Might be waiting to try to cast Carnosaur until we have 8 mana so I could Carnosaur and hold up Disdainful Stroke, but Disdainful Stroke is not that likely to be able to counter their counter anyway. So, I feel like our Carnosaur is just not going to resolve unless they tap out at some point. Ooh, they tap out at some point. Ooh, baby, that's a good Disdainful Stroke. And now we get to play Carnosaur against a tapped out control deck. Such a great turn for us that they tapped out for that Teferi. Actually wild. Don't really want a revealed Supreme Will, so I'll draw the cards here. Oh, one land draw for Bolas? So tempting. I mean, it's that or an 8-drop, so I guess we might as well. Like, there's not much point in drawing a land if I'm putting 2 7-mana cards to the bottom of our deck when I do that. Wish I top decked a land here because they're probably going to have to tap some of their mana for removal, and they might be tapped out from a counterspell for Bolas. Petty Theft. Alright, well, I guess we rip a counterspell out of their hand by recasting Carnosaur here. Because, I mean, that's 100% what's going on here. Yeah, I cast this, they counter it, and then Bolas will probably resolve. At least Bolas is more likely to resolve, I should say. Oh, even if I had Censor up, we could have stopped the counterspell. That was a very good counterspell to have there. No more counterspells from our opponent. Well, let's iterate. Digging for lands. Ooh, Breach to hand. Sleight of hand to the deck. Island gets exiled. And now, I probably Bolas first so that then if Bolas gets countered but then Breach resolves, I just reanimate Bolas anyway. I'm gonna Petty Theft this thing or just kill it? I think I'm just gonna kill it. Well, try to kill it. Spell Queller. If I let that resolve, it exiles Unholy Heat, but then when I bounce Spell Queller, I cast it. So now I kill the Spell Queller and the Brazen Borrower by Murderous Cutting Spell Queller here. And I'll delve 3, so I'm holding up Censor. Actually, keep the Sorcery in there for Delirium. Wait, we already used our only Delirium card, so it doesn't matter. But I guess I can do that anyway. Alright, cool. They have 2 mana left for a counterspell here. Oh, they don't! They don't! I don't think I'm ever going to have an opportunity to counter unless they pay 1 later anyway, so. Woo! Get the 3-for-1 from Nico Bolas. They might leave a removal spell for Bolas in hand, then they kill it, then I breach. And they've got nothing left. We exiled Seed Shark, Time Warp. Nice. True Villains strike again. Bone Crusher the Bolas. And cast the Bone Crusher. Sure. Well, I guess I get to resolve a Breach the Multiverse then. Carnosaur into Fairy. Oh, Agent of Treasure. That's pretty rude. Anything I take here is super rude. We'll take Teferi. Exclude, we draw to our hand. I'm just gonna cast more of their spells because it's funny. Yeah, they're very over it. Oh, you know what I could do that's kind of cute? We could use Teferi. Yeah, we're in a position now that I can use Teferi to tuck the Bone Crusher into their deck, and then now it's pretty likely Bolas hits the Bone Crusher exactly. But I think I'd rather take a random card than Bone Crusher. I guess a random card, Bolas could hit like a counter spell, and that'd be pretty bad. Either way, we start resolving our 7 drops and the game's gonna end. That is just how it goes. And luckily for us, we did start resolving those 7 drops, so incredibly explosive couple turns there, and we are 3-0, at least a 50-50 run this time around as we head into game 4. All right, in game 4, opponents on the play. We've got all 3 colors, some cheap interaction. Crucius to set up our draws, probably discarding Opus for a cheaper spell with Crucius. I guess if Crucius sticks around, we're going to get several treasure tokens, so maybe not. Does depend what our first few draws of the game are going to be here. Playing against a black-red deck. Blood Crypt is the first to play. Still Rakdos here, a Swamp as the follow-up, and a Swarm Saboteur. Let's cut that down immediately, because if that hits us, they get Virus Beetles into their hand, which is pretty annoying. They use those to make us discard a bunch of cards. No 3-drop. So I imagine this color pair, they're just going to have removal if I slam down Crucius right now, so I'm just going to draw some cards off Muldrifter instead. I'm going to removal spell Muldrifter before it sacrifices itself. That would be wild. I've seen stranger things, though. Okay, they are not gonna throw removal at Muldrifter. They thought about it. Okay, so it must just be all removal over there? I mean, we're in a great spot if we just get to our expensive stuff, so... Sure, I guess let's just pull out a removal spell here. With Crucius, what else is it gonna do? Ooh, friggin' alchemy removal where they put a Crucius into their hand? That's actually horrific. I think that's the only removal spell that I would have actually been very disappointed they did that here. That's so bad for me. Because now they get to Crucius while we're tapped out of the interaction to kill it. Yeah, maybe I should have just done absolutely nothing till turn 6. But then I guess they would have servituded the Carnosaur, which would be even worse. Would it be? Crucius is a nuts magic card. I guess it would have been just as bad either way. Either way, Soul Servitude was going to be wild. Turn a creature's power less than its power from the grave, so they get Saboteur onto the board. That's an upkeep trigger, though, thank God. So I can kill that before it reanimates anything. So now I'm going to have to find a way to kill an Automaton and a Crucius. Get a second blue source here. Well, there's Exclude for Crucius and Blast for Automaton. Okay. That seems like the play to me. Okay, we did it. Although I am going to exile stuff. I'm going to exile 3 for no value here. Moderately disappointing, but still worth dealing with the Crucius for. Yep, goodbye, Kolagon's Command, Iteration, and Island. You're all gone forever. Okay, and we have reached the point of the game where we slam down 6 and 7 drops and win. I guess 8 drops this time with a Magma Opus. Draw a cut. I did just use most of my removal, so cut is solid. Is it all cheap removal from them that can't kill a 7/6? Or is it just instant speed and they want to do it now? Looks like Carnosaur's still around. Slams for 7. Gix's Command. I lose Carnosaur and they pick up 2 creatures from grave. That's pretty good. But Breach the Multiverse should be pretty good next turn. Guaranteed to pick up a Carnosaur at worst from our grave. Now I could Magma Opus too. Deal 4 to them, tap 2 of their lands, get a 4/4 draw 2. Pretty cool. I think I just breached though, because the odds of like breaching into enough power to kill them with Cyclonic Rift next turn is pretty dang high. I have to choose between Bolas and Carnosaur. That's kind of sad. Wow, their cards are all tiny. I don't like any of those, really. Guess I'll take Lord Skitter for the widest board state possible. I think I'm supposed to go Carnosaur. For Cyclonic Rift lethal, just as much power on the board as possible here. Could mill out. I have 5 cards left. That's insane. I don't know how that happened. I've drawn 10 more cards than them somehow? I guess I had an Exile 3 off of Expressive Iteration. I had an Exile 3 off of Electrostatic Blast. I had a draw 2 off of Mole Drifter. Oh no, I didn't Expressive Iteration this game. So I guess... I don't know, it's just some of the Exile 3 kind of stuff been going on. Alright, our opponent doesn't have a ton of mana here, so they have some hard choices between establishing a board state of their own or just trying to deal with my board to not die. They are going to play the Automaton. And Valky? Okay, they're insanely dead. We can just Magma Opus, shoot them for 4, tap both their creatures. I do draw 2 off of that, which is mildly scary, but they're very dead, so it's fine. Unless they have Pact of Negation in their deck, in which case they just die in their upkeep anyway, because they don't have double blue. Alright, there's the concession. We got down to 2 cards in library on that one, so that's pretty funny. But we still get there in the end. Some really explosive stuff from the deck, as always. And a really slow, strange start from our opponent. Like, I imagine they're just sitting on a bunch of, like, bolts and shocks and stuff that just don't work against our deck. So 4-0 it'll be, heading into game number 5. Solid opener, perfect mana here. Got a board wipe if they're really aggro. Definitely looking for some more mid-range spells. Having an 8 drop in the opener, but I will absolutely take the sand. That is not a mana dork, so I'm not going to cut down that when I can Brotherhood's End for 2 cards later. If that was a Llanowar else, I'd just kill it immediately, so we slow them down. Alright. This is a perfectly reasonable Brotherhood's End. Although, actually, I don't have double red yet, so I can't even do that. Dang. I guess I'm gonna have to start using 1-for-1 removal spells. Yeah, Cut the beast collar then. That's a little sad. Wait to see if they play something better to cut down. Take some extra damage to get that information of what they're casting this turn. Explore, it's not something better to cut down. Well, I guess it could be another 2-drop creature. If they hit another land here. Yeah, that was preemptive. I should have waited, because I could still cut down in response to the trigger. Alright, expressive iteration, find me another red source, please. Awkward. I guess we put Mole Drifter to hand, island to exile, play the island, evoke the Mole Drifter. And then try to use Mole Drifter to find the red source. Yeah, it's still a good hit. Still a good iteration, even if it isn't the immediate red source. There's the red sources. They're both tapped, though. Sadness on the stack. We don't get to cast anything next turn. Thrag Tusk. Ooh, that's big. Bolas is big too. But I don't get to cast it yet. Oh, okay. It's 6 mana. I could ditch Opus to cast Bolas next turn. Can't be right. I could ditch Carnosaur to hit Thragtusk. They get a 3/3 in response, but then Brotherhood's End can actually kill their whole board instead of leaving them with a 3/3 after I Brotherhood's End. I lose the Carnosaur though, but then I still have a Bolas, and this is a red-green deck we're talking about. One Bolas should be enough. Yeah, let's stop the damage here. Give them the 3/3 and go for Brotherhood's End on the untap. We go Brotherhood's End, play the tap land, then Bolas next turn. Oh. Well, then. Wow. So Brotherhood's End is just not even enough damage next turn. Now I have to treasure for Bolas and -4 the Thragtusk, then the 3/3 kills Bolas. I can also just equip the Embercleave to the... We're just dead. We're just so dead to Embercleave. Well, okay. GG, I guess. I guess if we waited for the attack and they tried to Embercleave, we could have got in response. But obviously I didn't know they had Embercleave exactly. Well, that sucks. My god. Talk about an absolute blowout. Yeah, we can't win. There's no lines here. We just died Ambercleave. It's a guaranteed Bolas, but that's still not enough. Instant sorcery creature. I ditch this land, I can Unholy Heat Thragtusk. But I'm still dead. They just Den of the Bugbear me. Guess it's better to Unholy Heat Thragtusk during their turn than it is to Bolas it right now. But I can't... I can't Bolas plus Unholy Heat. Can only do one. That's funny. I guess it's still not lethal, but it's really, really, really bad. Actually, it is lethal because I don't have the mana to play the Guardian Idol and block with it. Because I need 3 mana to cycle this Triome. 2 mana for Idol, 1 for Unholy Heat. Okay, no, I have exactly enough mana, but then I don't have enough for Bolas next turn. Oh. Oh. No, I can't play that untapped or I'm dead. Things are lining up real badly here. All right. Could not have gone worse. 4-1 it is then. Heading into game number 6. No blue source here, but we don't have any blue cards, so super reasonable mana to start things off. Probably Electrostatic Blast first. So we can dig for a land when we cast our next removal spell. Golgari from our opponent, some green, black. It's kind of annoying, but it doesn't do a ton. You have so many removal spells here, we probably ditch. Cut down. And then let them draw one. It's one card at random. Odds are it's a land, but we could get unlucky here and it could be Bolas or something. Actually, odds are relatively high. It's just some random removal spell that's not very good against us. The odds of it not being good against us are much higher than the odds of it being something explosive, because we've got like 4 or 5 really explosive win cons, and other than that, yeah, it's a bunch of little interaction. Sleight of hand it is. They conjured a card from the top of our library there at random. It was the card we just drew. That's pretty funny. Well, this is going real bad again. Can't really use Electrostatic Blast for card draw without having something to target. Like, I could just blast their face, but then I still need to wait for them to play another threat to cast my Unholy Heat or my Cut. And Mosswood Dread Knight is really, really good against 1-for-1 removal, because it just keeps looping together all the card advantage. Recasting itself as the adventure from grave over and over. Sorin the Mirthless. Well, we've got a target. Hopefully they make the vampire, and then Blast kills Sorin, Cut kills the vampire, and we draw a card when we cast Cut. Awesome.
You can deal with my servant. I'm pleased. Tragedy befalls us all.
Well, we found the blue source naturally anyway. But this would be when I find blue source off Cut. Off of Electrostatic Blast, really. Those are not lands, but Guardian Idol is a mana rock, so I will cast that, or it will remain exiled forever. So we might as well get some value there. Exclude's a solid way to deal with the Dread Knight. And they won't be able to recast it from grave. Okay, Liliana's decent. Unholy Heat can kill her pretty easily. They're gonna +1.
I'll stop when I get my answers.
That's unexpected. I guess they're trying to uptick towards 7. It's gonna take a while. Can hardcast a Mole Drifter here. But if I evoke it, then I'm also holding up an Exclude, which is pretty exciting. I'll go for the evoke here. Have the Exclude up for the Dread Knight. Or anything else. Could slide a hand Iron Crag, but I'm gonna hold up the counter. Do I have a sorcery in my grave? Yes. Instant sorcery creature. So we have all of the difficult land types, or difficult card types to get in grave, such as lands, to get to Delirium at this point. +1 that Liliana.
When I say suffer, you suffer.
Assemble the team. Demonic Tutor. Grab whatever they need. Knight of the Ebon Legion. Okay, let's exclude the Dread Knight here. Draw fetch for Unholy Heat. There we go. And now Unholy Heat kills Liliana. And Brotherhood's End kills both their creatures? Yeah. Seems legit. Actually, Brotherhood's End hits Liliana too, so I don't even have to crack the fetch to do this. Which is good, because I need triple red.
Your boldness is so cute. Wipe that smug look off your face.
Well, those are not. Those are not draws right now. Okay, we gotta draw one of our 5, 6, 7 drops, but we're halfway through the deck and we've seen none of them. So Carnosaur, Nicol Bolas, Breach the Multiverse, these are all still in there. Urborg Scavengers, there goes Ribbons. RIP, friend. Swamp on bottom, so this isn't even thinning a land out of the deck. I'm just going to shuffle that swamp back in while I pull a different land out. Okay, it doesn't do anything this turn. Oh my god. Come on, top deck, you can do better than this. I should probably tap out for Ribbons while it's still in my grave. Yeah, no, we still have Opus, Breach, Bolas, and Carnosaur. Those would all just kind of insta-win. Cyclonic Rift's also pretty great. Iteration to draw towards. We've got live draws here. Yeah, I'll just Ribbons for 6. Since they can exile it anyway. There's no other abilities for them to get out of graveyards right now. Yeah, it's just flying. So all they were going to do this turn was just exile Ribbons. Tusky, that's pretty great. Now they draw a card every time they hit us. So they are just snowballing the card advantage here. It's going to get worse and worse. Or better and better, depending on what side of the table you're on. There we go. Carnosaur. Rift the Scavengers. That seems like a play. I guess I could put that to my hand and just rift it at instant speed. It's probably better. Just slightly though, because if they declare an attack with it, we still have to just rift it in response. Oh boy. Oh boy, we need Breach the Multiverse. Or Bolas now, and Bolas isn't even going to be that great, so we really need Breach, honestly. That should, statistically speaking, find one of the outs. Yeah, this thing's like a third of the way through the deck at this point. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got enough mana up afterward. Okay. Double block this with a 4/4 and a 7/6, I guess. Rather than tapping it just to take 7 damage from ward anyway. Yara's Oathsworn. And a Sedgemoor Witch. With another painful ward ability. If I do this pre-attacks, I can tap Toski and Memory. But if I do it post-attacks, I'm more likely to kill Flesh Gorger. I think I gotta do it pre-attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those two. These 2 permanents. 2 damage, 2 damage. Draw 2, digging for the Bolas. There's the Bolas. I was going to say the Breach, I think, is too late now. Because we just mill out. If I Breach, I've got 2 cards left in my deck. Kolaghan's Command Bolas are incredible draws, because Kolaghan's Command's also very useful. We can kill this before it gets the +1/+1 counter, and make them discard whatever they drew into. And I've got exactly enough. I've got a little bit more than enough. But that's the important part. Yeah, because I can command away the Scavenger, I'm going to get a card out of their deck rather than their hand. Okay. That's a good one. I don't imagine I need an equipment at all. That's a really, really good draw. Pick up 2 cards from graveyard to their hand. 1 from their grave, 1 from ours. I don't have a response to that, do I? No. Well, shoot. I guess I can just exile the cards from their hand off of Bolas next turn. Wait, no, this is fine, right? Just have Bolas exile their hand. Because they can't get anything really expensive here. They'd have to pick up cards that are just immediately really useful. Cut Down and Flesh Gorger, yeah, those don't do anything right now. So we're good. Right? I mean, not even that, we're great. I'm just gonna get rid of their entire hand and most of their board. Yeah, Pelucranos does get shrinked by Toski. You know what? I think I'm still going to do this, because if they cut down my Guardian Idol, then I can Brazen Borrower Toski and get rid of that from their hand as well. With Bolas, because then they're down to 2 cards in hand. I Kolagon's Command, make them discard 1, and Bolas gets the other 2. So if they want to spend cut down on Guardian Idol, I can respond with Petty Theft on Toski. And then next turn I Kolagon's Command and then activate Bolas. Alright, yeah, this is super fine. I guess I could pick a card from my grave up instead of killing one of their creatures. Yeah, I can pick up Carnosaur instead of killing the 3/2. It's probably better. Ten cards left here. Just need to not mill out, so I'm probably just not playing Iteration, because I can just slam down Carnosaur for now. Bolas continues being very gross. Okay, draw Disdainful Stroke. How do I know the next 4 cards? Oh, those all got put on the bottom by some kind of Supreme Will or something, where I look at the top 4, put the rest on the bottom, stuff like that, and then I just discovered and put this chunk on the bottom, so I know it's just land, 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 censor, but Bolas is winning this game, so land, 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 censor gets us there, yeah. There's the concession from our opponent. More absolutely filthy stuff from Nico Bolas. We are now 5-1, guaranteed at the break-even / in the money point this draft. Another solid win rate run with some really solid rewards, but we'll see if we can't keep it up heading into game number 7. All right, opponent is on the play here. And get the fixing out of the way rather than slide a hand turn 1. White, green, black, blue. There's Undercity Plunder. This card's been annoying. Probably not a Brotherhood's End matchup. And probably not making it to 8 mana, so I think I'd rather discard this than let them draw another card. Okay, now I get to hold up Censor or Electrostatic Blast, so I'll do that, and next turn I can play Sleight of Hand and hold up either of these. There's a new finisher. I don't think I need another cheap removal spell with how this game's going, so we'll take Bolas. Looks like Esper control. 4 color control's a thing, too. 4 out of 6 mana towards our first finisher with Carnosaur. We're both going to stare at each other and hold up a counterspell all game, it looks like. Yep. 5 out of 6 mana now. Might have to cycle Censor here if they don't do anything. Just hoping to find land 6. Maybe should have just done that during our turn in case we found a tapped land. Because I still have Disdainful Stroke up without Censor. Dig for the land here. Find Murderous Cut and another non-land. Well, that is not good. Stuck on 5 mana over here. There's their 7th. They could just like resolve an Atraxa and completely blow us out. They are the Atraxa colors. I mean, they're full 5 color now with Xander's Lounge for red. I cannot just tap out for Carnosaur here, because then they counter it and then untap and cast something while we're tapped out. So it's just a draw-go kind of matchup. Evoked Mole Drifter for some card draw. This looks like a really bad matchup because just all this removal is just nothing right now. Just useless. Really trying to wait till 8 mana so I can cast Carnosaur while still holding up Disdainful Stroke. This is going to be one of those games. One land off. Well, finally give me a target for my removal. 4 cards in grave too, so I can cut for cheap here. I think I just want to hold up 3 mana outside of this Murderous Cut. So I only need to delve 1. One of the instants. If they go for the counter on this could be game ending. They tap out of their counter, I Supreme Will it anyway, and then we get to resolve a Bolas uncontested. Alright, smart move. Basically no response. And we do not hit the next land, so we are not at Carnosaur hold up Disdainful Stroke. So we pass. This is going to be an exercise in patience here. I'm surprised I have not lost yet. Because I am not this kind of player. But when you're drafting a bunch of Bolas, you kind of have to be in the control mirrors. Discarding the hand size now is a thing. Okay, wee. I don't think I Disdainful Stroke their counterspell. I probably can't, because there's going to be 2 or 3 mana. Plus, there's the risk of them untapping and dropping a Traxxer or something. I could Disdainful Stroke that, but I'm not going to take the risk of them resolving their own Atraxa or something like that. I'm just going to let that happen. Because Atraxa would completely end this game in our opponent's favor. Ugin doesn't, honestly. Ugin's close enough, though. Because that's still real bad. Right, it's going to be 5 loyalty. They're going to have a 2-2 on board that draws them a card when it dies. I guess we go for the stroke here, and maybe we'll get lucky and they counter this. Then they're tapped out. Bolas beats Ugin on average, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, cut is creatures only. So the only way I kill Ugin is with Bolas, which is flavorful. Then on board, they can only deal 2 damage to Bolas, which can't kill him on the crackback. I am 1 mana off from having Petty Theft up here. They really can't target Bolas at all, which would be so good. I wish this could do 4 to a Planeswalker. That would be so helpful here. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I can't play Bolas and then not kill Ugin, because then Ugin kills Bolas with his minus. Alright, well, show me the money, I guess. This feels bad. Feels pretty likely Bolas dies. So it's a 2 for 2, right? Because they spend a removal spell on Bolas when my Bolas has already killed their Ugin. So they trade a removal spell and an Ugin for a Bolas. But they also got a 2-2 out of Ugin, so they got 2 cards worth of value out of Ugin. So they spend 2 cards, but they get 2 cards, basically. Alright, well, GG. They had Ugin and they had the Atraxa. I mean, yeah, that wins. Nothing to kill that here. Can't even... I could throw 3 removal spells at it, maybe. I've got a Time Warp, Noxious Gearhulk, a Midnight Clock. I mean, maybe Bolas can randomly hit, like, a Breach the Multiverse out of their deck or something. It would be the exact card I was worried of the second I tap out. Okay. Breach the Multiverse picks up their Ugin to destroy their Atraxa. They've still got a Time Warp in hand. They're gonna Time Warp us no matter what. But now they're tapped out. Like, they can't interact with this Breach. Well, they've got 1 blue mana. If they have exactly Spell Pierce, I will concede on the spot. But otherwise, we're good. Okay. We get a Carnosaur and an Ugin. Carnosaur finds a Muldrifter? I'm a mill out here. Down to 5 cards. Scary?
Your past is unwritten.
If I exile 2 cards from their hand, I'm ripping out 2 lands. Much guaranteed at this point, so we cast a spell.
You dare challenge a card? I can break this world.
Okay, so now they're going to Time Walk and go to town, and... I don't feel insta-dead anymore, like I did the second Atraxa resolved, but I don't know if we're favored, because they've got the Time Walk. The time warp, I should say. Is all they're just gonna time warp pass? Okay, I was gonna say if the only value they get from time warp is to draw a card for free, then we're actually fine. That's basically what they're doing. Okay. We might get there. The Nico Bolas Ugin Dream Team. The absolute flavor fail. We'll see. Here's their second turn. Oh, I get to see the order. Well, I get to see where Unholy Heat is at least. That's pretty cute. They need 12 counters on this. Once they do, they get a brand new hand. Oh, they have no cards in their library. Wait, they drew more cards than... Wait! Wait! You're just gonna mill out? No, they can get Clock all the way up before that, but I can Kolaghan's Command the Clock. Hold the phone. Kolaghan's Command the Clock pass turn? GG. Breach the Multiverse is nuts. I thought Bolas was nuts, but Breach the Multiverse is a Bolas and an Ugin. Breach the Multiverse is a Trumpeting Carnosaur and the Black Reanimator spell that let me pick up another creature. Breach the Multiverse has been insane. Obviously, it is improved a lot by having a Bolas in your deck, having those big explosive cards, but it's like 2 7-drops pretty much every time. And the 7-drops in Cube are nuts, like Nico Bolas. Okay. So I've got Supreme Will up to stop whatever counter they do. So I guess I might as well rip 2 cards out of their hand because I can't rip anything out of their library. Cool, cool, cool. Now I blow up their clock and make them discard another card for fun. Supreme Will against the counterspell here. They don't have a counterspell, they're just already dead. Okay. That was not how I expected that game to end in several ways. I was saying the whole game, if they resolve it in a track, so we're just going to die. But turns out if you resolve a Breach of the Multiverse, it's just as bad, and it can flip the game right back in your favor. But then not only that, I didn't even notice the deck sizes after we breached for a little while. And then after the Time Walk turn, when there was nothing in their library, I'm like, wait a second, where'd the deck go? They have no cards? I thought I was worried about milling out. And then, yeah. So, wasn't expecting the game to be going in our favor, and then also wasn't expecting the game to be won based on milling there. I thought we were going to have to try to kill them before we milled out. But they drew more cards than us, and I guess it's a mill victory. Crazy, crazy game of Magic like happens quite often in Cube. This stuff is absolute insanity. And we are now 6-1, very much in the money out of this draft. But seeing if we can't get a full trophy run, a 7-winner here as we head into the final battle with 2 rounds in the chamber. Solid opener here for game number 8. Let's actually get the black source, because that's the only source we can't play untapped. Okay, I don't think I'm going to blast a Cult Conscript here, so let's just drop Guardian Idol and ramp a little. Yeah, maybe I will blast Cult Conscript, but blast into Iteration's difficult to have the right mana for. Right, because I'll have to exile 2 cards that I play that turn. I'll just play Idol. Scrap Heap Scrounger. Okay, we're going to have to kill something that brings itself back from the grave, because I can't just take all this damage. So let's iterate for the land and then Electrostatic Blast the Scrounger. Okay. I guess that would mean I'd have to play island as land for turn, in which case I would not get to kill the Scrounger this turn. It's gonna be painful. Yeah, I guess I just put Rift in hand and I just let the island stay in exile so that I can Electrostatic Blast here. Or I exile the sensor, either way works. Do this while they're tapped out. Black-red Rakdos aggro from our opponent. Trying to buy the time to get to our big stuff. There goes Rift, probably. Inquisition of Kozilek, some annoying discard. Uh-oh, Supreme Will, so they have something good to cast they don't want to get countered. Ooh, Bitter Blossom too? Just a lot of yikes to go around here. All tap lands is rough. That means I don't get to Carnosaur next turn unless I top deck an untapped land. Maybe I was supposed to Rift during my turn so I could play a land off of the blast instead of having to hit an instant. We could hit instant speed removal though, we've got a lot in the deck. So out of 3 cards on average, shouldn't be that hard to find an instant here. Flesh Scourger. So I can Rift and try to hit a 2-mana or less instant, or I can wait till my turn to Rift and then I could maybe hit Brotherhood's End, get really lucky. I'm just gonna go for maximum luck here. Reach the Multiverse at 7 mana. Okay, so I can Rift and cycle Carnosaur. So I can interact with 2 of their threats. Bounce the 2/1, I guess. See what we hit. We did hit Brotherhood's End. Ah, I should have chosen Bitter Blossom, I guess. Well, we do that then. Play Xander's Lounge. And hope for untapped land breach the multiverse win. Because we breached the multiverse back a 7/5 lifelinker, which is huge. But if I don't hit an untapped land, we still play a Carnosaur for blocks. Oh, Shivan Devastator. That's probably what they didn't want me to counter. Ah, no untapped land. And I can't kill Devastator on this board. Actually, no land at all is really bad. I am dying in the sky here. Oh. I'm dying in the sky very slightly slower. Burn down the house for 3 devils. That is very dead very quick. I'm down to 3 life. So I have to breach into like some giant haste creature or it's over. And just kill them here. Unholy Heat. That's not the breach mana, so GG. Shoot. Yeah, that's insanely dead. Alright. I think we were really just 1 mana from victory, honestly. Breach probably could have still won the game. Maybe not there that turn, but definitely if we drew it the turn that we cast Carnosaur, if we played a Breach instead of a Carnosaur, I think we could have absolutely outraced them because we would have had their 7/5 Menace lifelink on board. So, much closer game than it looked like. Just do not hit enough mana quickly enough. That will be 6-2, heading into the final battle. Alright, here we are for the final battle with some excellent mana to go around. Cheap interaction. Just gotta draw into the finishers, but we don't need to draw into those till later, so we're doing golden. Jetmir's Garden and a Forest into a Mind Stone. So some rampy Naya nonsense going on right now. Looks like 5-color ramp stuff here. I don't hate countering the Visionary, but I should probably just cut down and save the counter for something that has a really gross enter the battlefield effect. Alright, we gotta draw land to get to Carnosaur. I don't think I should Supreme Will for a land, because then I lose a very good counter here. But that also gets me towards 7 mana for an overloaded Cyclonic Rift. Alright, well, I have to Supreme Will that. That's awkward. Land. Shoot. Shoot, 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 shoot. That's bad. I guess I could 1-for-1 Brotherhood's End for Wayfinder here. Still holding up Cyclonic Rift or Unholy Heat. It's not horrendous. I think I just wait and take 2 damage though. Because Brotherhood's End could easily kill some other stuff. I guess I could still make sure they don't get value here and I just rift it. Sure. Okay, cool. I'm gonna Carnosaur. That's big enough on this board to not just wipe. And they don't have blue mana untapped. That's a good one. Could destroy the Mind Stone with this, then they respond by sacking it to draw the card, but does make sure they don't have that extra mana. It's probably a little bit better to make them just discard a card. We're still killing one of their mana, killing the Pilgrim. Realm Cloak Giant, they really are 5-color. 5-color with a double white card there. 1 card left in their hand here. I mean, I need to draw into one of my other finishers, but I think this position looks fine. Well, until they draw other creatures. They draw any other creatures and they draw additional cards off the Great Henge. That is an insane card draw engine, making any top deck creature a fantastic draw. Okay. Electrostatic Blast plus Unholy Heat here, so when I cast my next spell, I get to dig for a win con? Or do I just Brotherhood's End? I'm gonna just Brotherhood's End. Because I'd need to be able to play a cheap instant or sorcery and have all of the mana up for my, like, 7 mana win condition that I'm trying to draw off of this blast. Well, we just lost the top deck more very badly. Because now they just flip that and have a Teferi down. Still might not be completely over, because again, resolving a Breach of the Multiverse can completely flip a game on its head, as we've seen. But that's about the 1 card in our deck that's impactful enough to counteract 7 2/2s and a Planeswalker. As their top deck there. Good grief. Oh, they're just going to attack me with everybody, so 7 2/2s period is all it is, but that's still real bad. There's a Solemn, which draws them a card off Great Henge, finds them a land off its ability. Just even more massive value. Crack the Mind Stone to draw a card. Find a sensor that doesn't do anything at this point. Drop a Crucius. Use the Crucius to discard the sensor for a higher mana value card, holding up Electrostatic Blast and Disdainful Stroke, but still looking pretty dang dead on board. Honestly. Yeah, no, we're dead on board. We stop 2 things and take exact lethal. I don't think I have 1 mana removal left that I could find by discarding Sensor. Yeah, I already used Cut Down, I already used Unholy Heat, so I have to go for higher mana value off Sensor. In which case I'm dead on board unless they try to flip Invasion. We have to just pray that they do. Try to do that. There's the Breach if they don't go for lethal here. That makes lethal even more obvious. Yeah, this is well over lethal. Alright. Massive bummer ending. We cannot break through the 6-win ceiling to these runs. It's disappointing. Thought this might be the deck to do it. Basically the same as other Bolas decks, but this one has Breached the Multiverse, which has been absolutely nutter butters. Massive, massive overperformer to Breach the Multiverse. Card was playing incredibly. Honestly, I don't think there was really an underperformer in here. I think everything did its job pretty well. Cyclonic Rift actually might be the underperformer. We never overloaded that, and I was never really impressed by it when it wasn't overloaded. So, I don't know. But it's definitely better in a deck that has a good chunk of creatures on board, so when you do overload it, it is just instant lethal, getting rid of all your opponent's blockers, but still just not that into it. I'll probably just leave that for Newmont in the future. Leave that for Nummy. Yeah, that was honestly the only card I'm underimpressed by. Everything else was solid or great. So, yep, not too much to say. Just a little bit weaker draws, a little bit weaker plays in the losing games. Still think this was a really good deck, very positive win rate, and very solid prize out at 6 and 3. Ooh, get a Sky Sovereign from Kaladesh as one of the random rare rewards. That's pretty sweet. But anyways, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.